right, everybody, I'm going to call the meeting to order, that being the regular council meeting of Warwick Township Council, September 29th, 2025, starting time at 3:30. Anybody that has any disclosure or pecuniary interest or conflict of interest, please declare it. Oh, it's not working. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we had a bit of a technical difficulty. We're going to start over. I'm going to call the meeting to order. That being the regular council meeting of Warwick Township Council, September 29th, 2025 at 3:30. Does anybody on council have a disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest at this time? Seeing none, thank you. Also like to welcome everybody who's joining us through the Warwick Township YouTube link. And now I'm going to do the acknowledgement of ancestral lands. We acknowledge that the Township of Warwick is located on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, as well as the many Indigenous nations in Ontario, with footsteps have marked them for centuries. We also wish to acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 29 and Treaty 25 territories signed by Chippewa chiefs, and we offer our respect and gratitude for these lands. Council, I'm going to take us to number 5 on the agenda. That's minutes of the previous council meeting, that being the meeting of September 8th. Anybody have any questions on those minutes at this time? Seeing none. Somebody care to move the minutes? Thank you, Councillor Manning, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kellenberg. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Hey, Madam Clerk, there was no business arising from those minutes. Thank you. Council, I'll take you to number 7, scheduled meetings and events. That's there for information. Anybody has any questions? Not seeing any. Thank you. And then we have, pardon me, in 7A, there is a note at the bottom, and it's a note talking about a proposed scheduling of a special council meeting on Thursday, October 16, 2025 at 2:30. The purpose of this meeting is touring township facilities prior to the 2026 budget deliberations. And there's a suggestion here, a recommendation to start that at 2:30. Does that cause anybody any issues to start that meeting at 2:30, or does the date cause anybody any issues? Say no? Everybody's good? Very good. Could I have a motion, please, to set that meeting then? Councillor Westgate, seconded by Councillor Morris. Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Let's go to 7B if we can. Again, that's FYI. If anybody has any questions on 7B, please get a hold of the clerk and she'll be happy to help you out. Number 8, let's go to councillors' commitments and items. Does anybody have anything they wish to add to the list of council commitment dates at this time? Seeing none. Thank you. We're going to go to councillor items, verbal reports. I'm going to start with Councillor Westgate. Councillor Westgate, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple things. The first one is down on Sunset. Maybe you've looked at this, Kyle, but where the culvert goes across, we worked to keep the road down, and then they filled in on the east side. So all it's going to do is dam up the water that we were trying to get across the road. I was wondering if you'd done anything about that.
Thank you. Yes, I've been in contact with Spreet, both on site and back at the office. That is not representative of the final grade at all. It was just material they had stockpiled till they get there. So we are there's going to be changes to that grade. It's not representative of the final grade.
Okay, thank you. That's good. The other thing is the flowers on Main Street have had complaints. They're all dead. The hanging baskets.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Westgate. We have scheduled Wednesday for the removal of the hanging baskets and are working with the Horticulture Society, who work to remove the items from the flower pots. So I would imagine that we can arrange for that to be done this week as well with that group. But the hanging baskets are scheduled for removal Wednesday morning.
Councilor Westgate.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Morris, do you have anything for today, sir?
I have nothing at this time, but thank you.
Need your microphone on, Wayne, please. Try one more time.
There, does that sound better? I have nothing.
All right.
He can hear us because he keeps giving thumbs
You
up.
know what? I think thumbs up means he's good, right? We'll just take it that it's good.
He's nodding.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Manning.
I have nothing today, thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Deputy Mayor Kallenberg.
I have nothing today as well.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge one thing. I want to offer Warwick Township congratulations to Megan Arts, who was inducted into the University of Maine Sports Hall of Fame on September 26th. We look forward to honoring Megan in the future sometime down the road here in Warwick Township. I just wanted to congratulate her on that very huge accomplishment. So congratulations to Megan Arts and her family. And that's all I have for today as well. Staff items verbal. Do we have anything today for staff items verbal? We do not. Thank you very much. We do have 5 minutes before our first delegation, so we're going to move on if we can. Let's move on to counts if we can, please. Oh, 1 second here. Does anybody have any questions on the GL report number 11A? No, very good. Does anybody have any questions on the accounts 11B? Anybody at all? No, very good. I would entertain a motion to approve both the GL and the accounts payable of council. Deputy Mayor, you're making that motion? Thank you. Councillor Manning is seconding that. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Let's go to the consent agenda if we could then, council number 12A, non-action correspondence. Does anybody have any questions on the non-action correspondence today? Seeing none, very good. We have the minutes from the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting on August 27. Any questions on those minutes? Seeing none, entertain. I guess we'll do it all in one consent agenda, so we're good there. Let's go to 12C, minutes from the Heritage and Historical Committee meeting on September 3rd. Anybody have any questions on those minutes? Seeing none. And then we have the minutes from the special council meeting on September 22nd. Any questions on those? Seeing none. And then we also have the holiday lights donation, Warwick Firemen's Association. That was a very generous offer for them to pick up the dollars and cents to be able to put the lights and change the electrical. Does anybody have any questions on those? On that particular item? Seeing none. Then I would entertain a motion to receive and file. If I could, please. Ruth, thank you. Councillor Westgate, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg. All in favor? Very good. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to 13, reports and items requiring motion. The first is the action correspondence. The first one, and again, if you want to stop me and you want to make a motion for one of these, just let me know. The first one is 0960, and that's the Santa Claus Parade. That is more or less an invitation to myself or one of the other counselors if they wish to go into that. So we can deal with that and get back to them. And if I can't go, maybe I'll ask one of you other folks to take the deputy mayor, and then maybe if he can't make it, a counselor. Is everybody good with that? Very good. 0961 is some correspondence from the Ontario Clean Air Alliance. I read that one out. Nobody? Very good. And then the last one is 0962, and that's the Riverside Gen Station. Does anybody have any on that one? And it looks like I've actually skipped one. I'll go back. Canadian Union of Postal Workers is the other one, and that's 0962. 0961 is the Ontario Clean Air Alliance. Very good. Nothing on any of them? Okay, could I have a motion to receive and file? Thank you, Councillor Manning, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That's carried. Councillor Morris, did you have something you wanted to mention? No? Very good. $13B is the EV Zamboni donation from Blue Water Power, the $10,000 for some advertising on the boards. There's a recommendation to receive and file. How does council wish to deal with 13B? Councillor Westgate, moving that. Thank you. Seconder to that. Councillor Morris. Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. We'll go to 13C if we could. This is the win this space. And there is a recommendation that council receive and file report P and D 1825, and that staff be authorized to proceed with entering into an agreement with Yaya's Kitchen, the successful candidate for the Win This Space contest, winning the grand prize of $20,000. That is a recommendation from the committee. How does council wish to deal with the recommendation? That is being moved by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg, seconded by Councillor Westgate. Any questions? Councillor Westgate.
What building are they gonna use or what property?
We'd like to turn it over to actually the recipient.
We're looking at. So we're currently looking at the location where Homestead was.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions on the recommendation? I'm going to call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Congratulations. Okay, well, let's just go to new business and I'll turn it back to our delegation. Did anybody have anything for new business today, council? Seeing none? Very good. Thank you. So now we're going to go back in our agenda if we can, council. We're going to go back to our delegations. And is our delegation joining us today by Zoom? Okay. So they're in the waiting room. We'll wait and give the clerk a chance to get them online. So our delegation today is Jesse McPhail, partner at Urban Planner. And he's updating our CIP presentation today to council. So we'll just give a second to get him up. And there he is. Mr. McPhail, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good, sir. Well, welcome. We're going to turn the floor over to you to make your presentation, please. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Am I able to either share my screen or yeah, okay. So I've got a little bit of a slide deck here prepared that it'll help us kind of walk through the discussion today. Okay, is everybody able to see the screen?
Yes, we're good. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you, sir. Good evening, members of council and those in attendance either virtually or in person today. My name is Jesse McPhail. I'm a partner in Urban Planner with a firm called Republic Urbanism. We do urban planning and design primarily in an Ontario setting. And we've been working with the Township of Warwick over the last few months on a review and update of the community improvement plan. So tonight we'll be fulfilling our statutory requirements under the Planning Act to host a public meeting for the proposed updated plan. And this will kind of come ahead of council making a decision at a later date. So I'll just walk us through a bit of the agenda today. I'm going to talk about the project a little bit more, talk a little bit about the background work and consultation that was undertaken as part of the preparation of the new CIP. I'm going to walk through kind of the highlights of the new plan and some of the feedback received, and then we'll wrap up with next steps. And if there's any comments or questions, please feel free to make those submissions. Just a bit of housekeeping and sort of on the legislative side of things. As I mentioned, this public meeting is being held in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. So notice of this meeting was also provided in accordance with those requirements. I'm obligated to note that anybody can make an oral or written submission to Township Council regarding feedback on the plan, whether it's in support of, against, and it's just important to note that if a person does not make a submission either orally or by written format to the township regarding the community improvement plan before a decision is made to approve or adopt it, their appeal rights to the Ontario Land Tribunal may be affected. So just a note there. So we'll jump into it. So about the project a little bit. So as I mentioned, the Township of Warwick initiated a review and update of its community improvement plan in 2025. So a little bit about what a CIP is. They're used by Ontario municipalities to essentially, as the name suggests, improve specific areas or sectors of the community. This is largely done through incentivizing private investment and improvement projects on private properties. So some of the common ones are facade improvements to buildings, structural improvements to buildings to help new businesses get established or existing ones expand. So there's kind of two key components to a community improvement plan: is the financial incentives, as I mentioned, and then the other side of it is more common today now is municipalities will include municipal leadership initiatives. So these are more projects that would be more public facing, more led by a municipal government to sort of complement and offset the private investment being leveraged on private property. One of the key kind of points to drive home with the CIP and why it's so important is that the Municipal Act otherwise prohibits municipalities from providing these types of incentives or supports to particularly the private sector or private businesses, private landowners. This would otherwise be called bonusing, which would be illegal except for very specific circumstances under the Municipal Act. So what a CIP does is it allows municipalities to develop a framework for providing those supports that can otherwise lead to those improvements in the community. So the primary goal with this project, as many in the audience are likely aware, the township does have a current community improvement plan, which is why we are reviewing and updating it. This community improvement plan was originally adopted in 2018. So our primary goal was to look through that and identify, which portions we can kind of carry forward, what parts need to be modernized. The outcomes that are being sought here are really to not fully kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, but keep those existing good bones that exist. The current plan does have some good strengths with it, so we didn't want to chuck all that away. We wanted to look to modernize it, though. A lot of legislative changes have taken place over the last kind of 7 to 8 years, so we wanted to make sure that we update those. We wanted to look at potentially some new or expanded incentive programs. And overall just kind of enhance the document visually. So those were kind of the key kind of focus areas. That there was a little more work involved than those 4 points, but that kind of sums up kind of the main focus of the work. In terms of the timeline, just to kind of, for information, we kind of kicked this project off in the early spring. And we've kind of been working on this with the project team, Stephanie and Trevor, over the summer. So here, this just kind of provides the summary of the phasing that was undertaken for the project. So in terms of the background work, this was a fundamental step in helping us, or myself as the project team, and better understanding the township, better understanding what the policy framework is for community improvement today, and how the past plan has performed over the last few years. So we took a look at any sort of planning legislation or documents and strategies that are in place that would support a plan like this. We undertook a community assessment, really getting to know not only the urban areas, but as well as the rural areas. We looked at historical data for the programming that's been in place since 2019. So any data for grants that have been issued and projects that have been approved. And then there was also some public consultation components, including a community survey, as well as a steering committee workshop. So all of this kind of came together to kind of help form some of the directions that we wanted to go in for the updated plan. So the existing community improvement plan itself, again, this was adopted in 2018. And I'll say that traditionally, community improvement plans have tended to focus on kind of your downtowns or your main street core areas. In recent years, they have been expanded in scope to kind of capture the entire municipality. There's a lot of economic development initiatives that are looking to focus more on agritourism and rural economic development. So a lot of municipalities are taking that route with their community improvement plans. The Township of Warwick actually was quite forward thinking in terms of that 2018 plan, and the entire township was actually identified as a community improvement project area. So the municipality was a little bit ahead of the buck there in terms of planning ahead for rural economic development and agritourism. So certainly deserves a pat on the back there. The plan vision does center largely kind of on downtown renewal and revitalization, though. So even though the plan applied to the whole township, a lot of the vision statements and language in the plan do tend to focus on kind of the downtown Watford area and those urban areas. There are 6 financial incentive programs under the current plan. So there's a brownfield environmental study program, a facade improvement program, structural building improvement program, a tax increment equivalent grant, a permit fee relief program, and a building accessibility program. So as many of the names suggest with these programs, they're kind of targeted specific projects. The township administers this plan through a steering committee. So that steering committee will review applications and ultimately make a recommendation to council, who has final say on where funding is going. In terms of the implementation history, since 2019, there have been a total of 22 CIP grants for around just shy of $200,000 approved by the township. So that is a healthy amount of money going towards a range of improvement projects. 2019 and 2023 were the biggest years for the program. So I'll note that 2019 was kind of the first year of implementation. And then 2023 was kind of right when we were coming out of COVID. So there's likely that there was a bit of an uptick there in folks wanting to pursue some construction projects and development. I'll say that the structural and facade improvement programs have been the most popular every year since implementation. So we wanted to make sure that we refocus the plan around those. So we just have some images here of some different projects that have been approved over the years. In terms of consultation and engagement, we had met with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, as well as county staff. We undertook a public survey to gather feedback on sort of the directions for the new updated plan. And as I mentioned, we had undertaken a roundtable workshop with the steering committee to help kind of ground our findings and look for making sure we're on the mark with respect to the directions that we wanted to take with the draft plan. The 2 final kind of steps for this process are tonight with the public meeting, and any feedback that is provided will be reviewed with the township, and the final plan will be revised if needed prior to going to council for a decision. So some of the key themes from the review. So as I mentioned, there's some good bones with the current CIP, but the document is due for an update. Again, there's been a lot of legislative changes over the last 7 to 8 years, so we want to make sure that those are reflected. The vision, again, as I mentioned, it was a little more focused on the downtown urban areas. There is a desire in the community to see more support for the rural area, more rural economic development. So we wanted to revisit that vision to make sure that we're not leaving those folks out and those sectors out. And really at a baseline, looking at improving the consistency and the visual look of the document. So in the current CIP, there was a little bit of a different formatting for some of the different programs. And for someone who's maybe not familiar with a document of this nature, maybe a little bit difficult to navigate. So we wanted to try to clean up a little bit the implementation side of things and make it a little bit more approachable for someone who, maybe an applicant or someone who's not as familiar with these types of plans. So with all that background said, I'll give an update, an overview rather of the updated plan as proposed. Again, this is very much in a draft state, so we're more than willing to engage in any comments or questions or feedback on that. So the first thing that I wanted to touch on is just the refreshed CIP vision. I will note that we did, again, try to maintain a lot of the good bones with the current plan. So this vision was a little bit of, I'll call it a massaging of the existing vision to better capture that rural economic development aspect and be more inclusive to the entire township rather than the downtown. So the vision statement that's reflected in the new CIP would be through its community improvement plan, the township will foster a welcoming, prosperous, and adaptable built environment, one that supports thriving main streets, vibrant public spaces, resilient rural economies, and high quality of life for residents and visitors alike. To complement that, one of the other items that was a little bit of a level of granularity that was missing from the current plan is more focused kind of goals or guiding principles. And these are important with community improvement plans to help with, reviewing applications for funding to make sure that they align with the township's overall goal and intent with that community improvement plan. So with Stephanie and Trevor and the project team and through the consultation we received, we identified 5 new guiding principles to kind of go down a level in terms of what this plan was hoping to achieve. And so these are them here. And so they're focusing on kind of that revitalization and renewal of kind of the core areas, advancing public realm and placemaking, promoting environmental responsibility, supporting collaboration, and fostering rural economic resilience. So again, reflecting that overall vision, but getting a little more specific in terms of the outcomes that we're looking to achieve through providing grants for different improvement projects in the municipality. So the intent with these is to help guide kind of the review of projects that come in, creating a little more consistency with respect to the competitiveness of the grant program, as well as providing a better tracking mechanism for how we're working towards these goals. In terms of the CIP programming itself, so the new updated plan is maintaining the number of financial incentive programs. However, they're a little bit restructured. I will say that the programs that were in the current plan are still in this new plan. There have been 2 that were merged under one kind of branch of a new program to help better focus it. And that was the tax increment grant as well as the permit fee relief grant. Through the new plan, we'll be looking to support community improvement throughout the township. As I mentioned, I want to drive that home is that it's township wide. The planning horizon or the implementation timeline for this plan is the next 10 years. It's not to say that this can't continue to be used past 10 years, but that's typically the time when you want to kind of revisit, whether we're still heading in the direction we want to go, or if there's new things that have changed that we need to change. Or we need to address in the plan rather. Eligibility for grants will depend on the location of the property, the type of project, whether it aligns with eligibility criteria that is in the plan. And I will say that the plan doesn't outline more detail with respect to administrative process. So application process from start to finish, staff's role, the steering committee's role, council's role in the implementation and decision-making. One thing that I'll say is that community improvement plans, they're meant to be a catalog from which council will activate programming from year to year. So if council, for instance, wasn't prepared or weren't interested in offering all 6 incentive programs in year 1 or year 2, they could identify specific programs to offer so that budget can kind of go as far as it can with respect to addressing those programs, and they could activate other programs other years to make sure that we're spreading that around. That said, too, council can choose to activate all 6 financial incentive programs at once and offer that. as they wish. The other side to this to the updated CIP is the introduction of municipal leadership initiatives. I'll talk about those in a little bit, but I will go through the financial incentive programs just at a brief level first. So two brand new programs that are introduced or proposed to be introduced in the draft CIP are the Additional Dwelling Unit Program and the Agri-Tourism and Rural Economic Development Program. So the Additional Dwelling Unit, and what I mean when I say Additional Dwelling Unit is those secondary suites, those basement suites, garden suites, those sorts of housing options that folks with those larger urban lots or larger home sites may be wanting to create a basement suite to rent out or have family members live there. So these opportunities provide more affordable and more attainable housing options, particularly in the rental market. So this program would be really looking to target either the creation, supporting the creation of a brand new additional dwelling unit, or the bringing up to code and legalization and improving of the safety of an existing additional dwelling unit that may not comply currently. So we want to encourage those folks where there may be some deficiencies or they maybe didn't obtain permits for those to get those as well. So again, with the goal with that would be to provide more diverse housing options in the community. The other brand new program would be the Agri-Tourism and Rural Economic Development Program. So this program provides up to $7,500 plus a 50% reduction of building and permit fees. So this would be targeting sort of the rural area, those kind of on-farm diversified home-based kind of businesses that the township wants to support with respect to agritourism, like you-pick farms, or another example could be I've seen goat yoga or llama yoga in other municipalities. So really trying to bring tourism out into the rural areas. And another program that would be more familiar from the current plan would be the building and site accessibility. So this program would be targeting building improvements to meet AODA standards. So ensuring that we have fully accessible entrances to buildings, accessible washrooms, improvements to the site or building that would be needed to make sure that everyone in the community can access it equitably. The other three programs include the Brownfield Revitalization Program. So this program would support the cleanup of formerly contaminated sites or brownfields. So this would support phase 1 and phase 2 environmental site assessments, as well as an outline for tie-in with the province's tax cancellation program for brownfield remediation. The more popular and most common would be facade and site beautification program. So this is kind of one of the cornerstone programs of the CIP. This would really be looking at the visual component of kind of those main street businesses, those main street buildings, and it offers a range of financing to help with the improvement of facades, as well as signage, site beautification, and public art that's kind of improving the curb appeal of our kind of main street corridors. The last program is the Expansion and Improvement Program. So this is a more substantial grant at up to $22,500. However, this is meant to support more substantial improvement projects that would be targeting kind of the structural integrity of buildings, expanding or building on existing buildings to accommodate a new business or an expanded business. So these are kind of your bigger ticket projects. Within that expansion and improvement program, it does also have an option for larger scale projects to tap into the tax increment option, which would use the increase in municipal assessment as a result of a development as a source for tax relief over a period of 5 years. So these programs are all well and more detailed within the plan, particularly with respect to eligibility requirements and criteria. But this is just kind of a brief overview of what those look like. On the municipal leadership initiative side of things, I'd mentioned there are 3 that we identified. So the current CIP doesn't identify really any municipal leadership initiatives that the township or council can opt to pursue alongside private investment. So these were identified based on the consultation and feedback that we'd received, as well as the opportunities to kind of complement the financial incentive programs. So the first municipal leadership initiative was identified as gateway and wayfinding improvements in settlement areas. So this is really looking at these signage, really creating a sense of welcoming and arrival at the community in different spaces. The second is the public space and streetscape enhancements in settlement areas. So this is really building on, things like the township's My Main Street project that was undertaken recently. So really looking to build on that. And then the last would be the township-wide green space and parkland improvements. So this provides some sort of ideas and inspiration for the township to potentially consider more initiatives to improve access to nature, access to green space and public lands for everyone in the community. One of the things to note that's important for these initiatives is that they're not meant as a to-do list. They're not meant as a formal commitment or action plan, but rather, again, a source of inspiration for projects for council to consider over the next 10 years. So where this kind of comes in handy is having these identified as if there's provincial or federal grant programs. The township kind of has a high level strategy kind of ready to go to support, a grant application to upper levels of government or seeking out funding for projects. You've already kind of got a catalog to support that effort. So it helps with those sorts of things. But at a baseline, it also helps with implementation planning, budgeting, and providing kind of an improvement schedule over the next 10 years. In terms of feedback on the draft plan, there's been 2 submissions made so far. So the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, they had provided feedback, comments advising that no concerns were identified in the plan, but they did some recommendations with respect to the inclusion of some language to reflect housing affordability and reference to the county's housing and homelessness plan. So those changes were already made, and council will be seeing those in the next iteration of the plan. St. Clair Region Conservation Authority had also provided some recommendations, no major concerns, but recommended that some textual changes be made to clarify that applicants are obligated to comply with any permissions or permit requirements if they're proposing an improvement project within an area regulated by the Conservation Authority. So with respect to these 2 submissions that were received, very minor changes have been pursued already, and those will be highlighted for council when they look to make their decision in the future. But no other changes, no other comments rather have been received to my knowledge at the time of writing. But any additional ones will be considered and reviewed with staff before finalizing the draft plan. So in terms of next steps, and this is where I'm just wrapping up here, following this public meeting, it's my understanding that a council decision is anticipated to be made on October 20th. So per the requirements of the Planning Act, adoption of the plan will be by way of bylaw. So that bylaw will essentially repeal and replace the existing plan. This decision may be appealed in accordance with Section 17 of the Planning Act. And if no appeals are received within 20 days following a decision on the plan will come into effect. And again, subject to budgeting requirements and which programs council wishes to activate for 2026, they will be at their purview to do so following that. So with that said, that wraps up the presentation, but I'd be happy to entertain any questions or comments or any other feedback at this time.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. McPhail. On the agenda, it had you given your report. The report is also part of the public meeting. So we've had your report. We appreciate it. I am going to go to the formal part of the meeting today as well. And if anybody has any questions, they could ask Mr. McPhail the questions then if they would be so kind. So I'm going to announce that the next item on council's agenda is the holding of the public meeting with respect to the community improvement plan update. The meeting is being held in accordance with the requirements of Section 17 and 28 of the Planning Act. I'm going to ask the clerk the following: the method of giving public notice of the meeting and the date notice was given. Madam Clerk.
The notice was in the September 4th edition of the Petrolia Independent, and it was also posted on the township social media site.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm now going to state the following. Any person requiring further notice of the passing of the bylaw should give their name and full mailing address to the clerk before leaving the meeting. Any persons present who wish to make oral or written submissions should provide the clerk with their name and full mailing address. Also, all persons wishing to address the bylaw should ask their questions through the chair. I'm now going to proceed. The clerk will now read any written submissions. Madam Clerk.
We did not receive any submissions.
Good. We've already heard the consultant's report, a very thorough report. Thank you very much, Mr. McPhail. We will hear from those in favor of the bylaw first, then hear from those opposed. Anybody here wish to speak to either of those items? Seeing none. Thank you. Members of council may provide any questions or comments about the presentation. Anybody on council wish to make any comments on the presentation? Yes, Councillor Manning.
Yeah, it's more of a comment than just going forward, I guess, for the CIP team and the teams on this, but one of the incentives, in particular, the additional dwelling units, I would just like to make sure and point out that I think the application process needs to be very define very clearly what it is. I want to make sure that we don't have that being used to basically people renovating their houses or building new sheds and then not having it a dwelling like 2-3 months down the road, something like that. So that's just more of a comment down the road as this progresses.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Did anybody want to respond to that comment at all this time? Yes, Mr. Jarrett.
Very quickly, that's one that can be activated at council's discretion.
Thank you, Mr. Jarrett. Okay. Anybody else? Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none. So I'll proceed. The public meeting is now concluded. Council will make a decision at the regular council meeting on October 20th, 2025. Adoption of the plan will be by bylaw. Any person or agency may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal in respect to the bylaw by filing with the clerk of the Township of Warwick no later than 20 days after the decision is made. A notice of appeal must set out the objection to the bylaw and the reasons in support of the objection, plus the applicable fee to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. And thank you, Mr. McPhail, for your presentation. Very much appreciate it. Did anybody else have any questions for Mr. McPhail before I let him off the hook? No? Well, thank you, Mr. McPhail. We appreciate the very thorough report. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, council, I think we've got all of our other business looked after. I'm now going to ask for a motion to move in camera, and I'll thank everybody who joined us through the public portion of this meeting. And I'm now going to ask for a motion to move into the in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 is amended for the following reasons. Number 2, 5, 6, and 11 of the Act. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.